Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Positive Islamic Psychology series. This is your host, Gabriel Romani. Inshallah, I hope you're excited with what we've been discussing so far. And now we're moving into the concept of inner speech. We talked about how the physical environment affects us. We looked at, even at the level of genes and DNA, how it affects us. Then we talked about the social environment, interpersonal communications, how others affect us, what they say, what they propagate, their dawah. Now we're going to talk about how all that affects inner speech, which in the end kind of is linked to our personal beliefs, which will in effect change our behavior. Beliefs will change behavior, and sometimes behavior, certain people will change beliefs if it's not countered, not dealt with. And that is why we're offering this model to change ourselves, and protect our communities. So, we've explained the transcendent nature of inner speech. We looked at the spiritual, we looked at the emotional, the mental, and the physical domains. Our inner speech is also influenced by the physical world, the universe around us, as well as the spiritual universe. Waswasa, alladhi yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas, right? We have angels who are next to us, protecting us, but we also have the shaitan who is trying to corrupt us, right? So the nafs, inna nafs al-amaratu bisu, the nafs that is basically inciting us to evil, illa man rahima rabbi, except who Allah protects, right? So that needs to be understood. A lot of people sometimes think, where do I get these thoughts from? Why do I think like this? Why do I have doubt? Why do I feel depressed? Why don't I have iman? This is why, okay? Inner speech and how it affects you. And not just that, all the different components, external components that will affect the inner speech, what affects your faith, your iman. So now let us look at the framework of the positive Islamic psychology model and how we can work with it and how it takes into account the three sources of input. So number one, the physical environment. Number two, the interpersonal communication or social environment. And number three, the inner speech, which we focused on so much. The model also explained that our total past learning history is the sum of our total experiences in this world. You are born. From the moment you're born, you learn. You're born with some innate knowledge. For example, the baby starts looking for what to suckle. Right away, how does he know that? Allah is Al-Hadi, has guided him. He has put that knowledge into him in a fitrah. But we start learning. We start learning noises, sounds, which then turn into speech, then turns into codifying that speech, and so on, learning how to use speech, right? So this total past learned history is basically the sum of our total experiences in the world, depending to what age we've gone. It also integrates the nature of influence at our spiritual ruh level, or emotional qalb part, or mental aql, or the physical domain as we exist within space and time in the physical world. So we also include our transcendent nature that exists beyond this space, which is going to, of course, moving to the akhirah and so on, the spirit and how that is linked. What happens when we sleep? The soul goes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He decides who returns back and who stays with Him. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So in reality, our total past learning history is the result of constant interaction of our spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. What's called the SEMP domain. It's integrative. It is an integrated domain. A holistic, which has no boundary. Okay, the sum of results of our interaction behaviors will then determine the nature, success, or failure in our lives. The sum of our total past learning history. We can describe these influences in the diagram that we have explained before, that you find that even on the front of the book, okay? That inshallah we're gonna you can see in the book and you're gonna provide. So that is very, very important to understanding how that works. So the positive Islamic psychology model integrates all the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical domain of our human self and the three inputs of physical environment, interpersonal communication or social environment, and inner speech. They're integrated because they all form who we are and what influences us and how we can change. Again, what is the objective of knowing this? Is how to use it to our advantage. How can we drive change, da'wah, in the world, in ourselves, in our societies, and within the non-Muslims, everyone, basically everyone, inshallah.